Welcome to the 40K Shop Talk podcast, broadcasting live from the Manufactorum.
I'm your host, Austin, joined by my co-host, Rob. Join us as we talk shop about new codexes, units, army lists, and general strategies. If it's 40K related, you'll hear it here. All right, so Genestealer Cult. I guess tonight we're going to attempt to get through this book and figure out if they're still playable, what you can do with them, and just going to kind of build live and see what we can figure out while looking through the book. So, how you doing tonight, Rob?
I'm doing good.
All right, cool. Man, where do we even start?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, one of the things that we kind of wanted to talk about was, I think both of us agree this is a really cool looking army. It's really original, but it kind of falls a little flat on the tabletop, especially against some of the newer codexes. So, what does this book still have in the tank that can make it perform? And that's kind of a tough question, in my opinion. Looking through a lot of what's going on here, I think there's a couple really good units that shine here, and we'll kind of go through it. I don't know where you want to start.
Well, maybe we take a look at okay, so you got the basic rules. You have Cult Ambush and Brood Brothers, and maybe we can throw some of this out to start. We're not going to go into Brood Brothers. I don't think there's anything guard related, including Astra Militarum units, that's really worth talking about at this point. I want to kind of dig into what the actual Genestealers can do.
Right.
So maybe we shelve that. And Cult Ambush, I don't know. Basically, we'll just consider it like a early game deep strike and just kind of move past that. I don't think we want to get too into that until we talk about specific units.
Yeah, and I really like Cult Ambush, but I think you're going to relegate it to very specific things. It's not something that you're going to be like, oh, this unit's great because I'm just going to Cult Ambush it and charge you. And then this unit's also great because I'm just going to Cult Ambush it and charge you or shoot you twice. It's like, yeah, that's cool and all, except for this is extremely expensive in an army that already wants to use a lot of CP for everything else.
Right.
So.
All right. I mean, well, that being said, maybe we take a look at the history of them real quick. Over the past edition, they started out with this idea that you do exactly like you said. You pop up a bunch of these big aberrant units with, whatever they were, stop signs or picks or whatever was cheapest. You run in, you smash stuff, and then you either disappear or you do it again. That was kind of like an iteration we've seen. Then we saw an iteration where there was a bunch of rock saws and drills. It was exactly the same thing. Again, you just pop up, you stack a bunch of powers and strats, and you get in for a guaranteed charge, and you blow up a knight or whatever, and then you go away or you die, and you just do it over and over, and you trade for bigger and bigger units. But I'm pretty sure at some point last year or mid-edition, all that stuff went away because they jacked up the prices of all the weapons. So we're kind of left sitting here figuring out something new.
Right. And this faction's in a very interesting place here because it wants to front as like a shooting army with all their weapons and stuff, but they can't shoot very well. They have no guard abilities to help improve their shooting. And while their close combat's great, all the stuff that can do the close combat's really fragile and weak. And in the past, the way that they got around this for all the iterations of the book was their Cult Ambush, right? Even before this iteration, previous iterations, you'd roll on the Cult Ambush table, so they'd pop up, and maybe you try to get that 6, or you have your characters auto give you the 6, or maybe as a 1. I don't remember. But you'd roll on the table and you try to get the result, and man, if you got lucky, your whole army was attacking people right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Also, pure strain Genestealers are really good, and I don't know why the Genestealer Cold Army hates Genestealers, but
I was going to get into that.
Is the most insane thing. Yeah, we can talk about that later, but is this
Why don't
just
we
because
start with Genestealers?
I want to start with the
Let's
Genestealers.
start with the pure strain.
We'll just start with the pure strain. That's good. So the Brood Lord is amazing, right?
Yes.
And for whatever reason, and I don't know, is it because they can go in vehicles? Is that why? Because they're not really that much different than Nid Genestealers, right? They both can do the deep strike thing. They both pretty much have the same abilities and everything. But Tyranids ones are just a lot cheaper, and these ones are way expensive. and it doesn't make any sense to me. You'd think in a Genestealer Cult army that these guys would be fairly cheap. Maybe you make it so you can only have one per Broodlord, right? Because it'd be rare, more rare than anything else in your army. But these things should be like, I mean, to the cultists, they're like gods, right?
Well, yeah. I mean,
So
this is
they
the guy.
they should be the best thing in your army, but you should be limited. I don't know. They don't make
Yeah.
sense to me. It's crazy because you're playing a Genestealer Cult army. We should have some Genestealers. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
So let's look at the Genestealers. Let's just look at the core Genestealer troop, the pure strains.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, strength 4, toughness 4, 5 up invuln, right? 3 or 4 attacks. I think 3 attacks. They hit on threes. These guys move 8 inches, so you're talking like Harlequins or Eldar movement. More attacks than more you take, right? I think they get more attacks if you get over 10 models, so you big blob of them, and they advance and charge.
Sure, but don't they cap at 20?
That's probably true. I think so. Yeah, I think you
Okay.
can take up. They start at 5, and you can take 15 more. So,
Yeah.
all right. So the big thing here is when you roll that 6 to wound, I believe, with the rending clause. I think that's what you take, and then it's AP4. So they're basically doing shuriken stuff. So not great strength. However, 6+ you're getting through with an AP
Mm-hmm.
of 4. Um, I don't know how expensive these guys are. I mean, they're fast, right? And I remember regular Genestealers in the Tyranny book, like we were talking about, the days of Kraken, where they're ripping up the board with strats and stuff. Okay, they're getting, I don't know, 20 some inch movements. That's not these guys. So if they're relatively cheap, I mean, I'm interested, but they kind of do look a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah, I'll get you the points here in a second.
Yeah, I mean, let me
So
see how much is a guy. We're talking what, 10 points a model? That's my guess. I have no
your
idea.
guess is 10 points?
My guess is 10 points. I've never looked at this army before. I've never played them.
17.
Oh my god.
So I don't like comparing one model to another army's
Sure.
model,
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
I'm
That's
pretty
fair.
sure an Incubi Warrior is 17 points.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, we won't do that anymore.
Yeah,
All right,
I won't.
so
I won't do it. But man, 17 points for these guys. But I will compare them to the Tyranids Genestealers because it's exactly the same stat line, doing exactly the same thing, minus actually some of the upgrades that Genestealers or Tyranids can give their
yeah,
Genestealers because of all their like venom taxons and all that other
yeah,
fun stuff.
definitely.
But the Genestealer in this book is 15.
Okay, so we're
So
talking different
2 points.
chapter traits or whatever you want to call it, right? So you got your Kraken, whatever they do, advance and charge, or you've got your um, Gorgon for mortals and stuff. But
Sure.
here, I mean, if we look at some of these traits that, first of all, do these guys even have a cult? Yeah, of course
Yeah,
they
they
do.
do.
Okay, so you're picking up stuff like, I mean, what, Twisted Helix, right? You have where is it? Twisted Helix gives you what, like an extra strength or something? Maybe we should jump to the cult properties and see if there's anything there that really makes a
I mean,
difference.
we can talk about it. I don't want to what if too much, but
Yeah.
what if so you know how the entire cold army has the like the loyal, what's it called, unquestioning loyalty,
Mm-hmm.
right, where they can jump in and on a 4+ take the damage for
Yeah.
their leaders. I mean, it's a Genestealer cult, right? Like what if you could, neophytes could do that for Genestealers?
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
So now you got your little crappy troops, like every time you shoot a Genestealer it's like, nah,
Oh, that would be
4+,
pretty
it's going to this
cool.
guy.
Going to these garbage units.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things they could do to make them cool, but again, they should be rare. But yeah, we could look at the cult stuff here.
Um. So okay. So this might have changed. I feel like a long time ago, people were complaining because pure strain gene stealers didn't get your cult trait. Now maybe I'm missing something in the book where there's a blurb here that says, "Hey, gene stealers don't actually get these because they have the keyword, right? They have the keyword in brackets." And I mean, I'm looking at some of these cult creeds. Maybe you can see if there's a cult creed that like doesn't apply or something to them.
I mean,
But
I'm assuming they're infantry, right?
yeah, I mean, it says here like um, Genestealer Cults detachments, and yeah. Okay, well, maybe I'm overlooking
Oh,
something.
wait. Note that due to their purely Xenos nature and physiology, Genestealer units are an expectation and do not gain the cult creed.
Okay, well, they're garbage. All right, I was going to say.
Yeah, so they don't even get the bonuses.
I was going to say, we're about to walk down a crazy path where we're building some cults here with extra strengths and re-rolling all hits on the charge. It's like, all right, well, you want to move on to the next
all right,
unit?
I do want to say, though, and again, this could be another thing that maybe I'm just missing. I don't see anything stopping them from riding in trucks.
Okay, I'll give you that. And if later we decide to talk
It
about
even
trucks,
specifically says that the patriarch
oh yeah,
takes up 5 spaces. So that to me says that you could throw 10 Genestealers in a truck, and that might be cool. But
I mean, I
at
like
10,
the idea.
but at 10 Genestealers, as soon as you take 1 wound, you're losing the extra attack, which sucks.
Oh man, all right.
So if these trucks could hold like 12,
I think I'm over these guys already.
okay.
I think we just walked through that and why everybody hates them.
So we hate Genestealers.
We hate
Let's move on.
Genestealers. Man, what
I
a
did talk
shame.
about trucks though. Can I talk about trucks? Because I think
you can
this
talk about
is
the trucks.
I think this is one unit that really shines in the Genestealer Cult army is the Goliath Truck. You might be like, Rob, you're crazy, and that's cool. But I believe it's 75 points.
All right.
And you're looking at 75 points for a toughness 6, 10 wound model that transports 10 infantry. It's open top, so all your guys can shoot out of it. You can equip it with the demolition charges, which isn't the greatest. It's like a 6-inch assault D6, strength 8, -3 D3 shots. I mean, that's kind of cool. But also it allows you to use the stratagem to auto explode it if it dies, which it will, to blow up your opponent, which I think is also cool.
Yeah, I'm into that.
And then it has rugged construction. So on a D6, a roll of 6, you ignore the wound. So
is this thing an orc truck? Is that what we're talking about here? Is this an orc truck?
I mean, maybe. It might be.
This looks like
there's also a stratagem which I love purely for the silliness of it. In the what's it called?
This is the Psychic Awakening.
The Psychic Awakening book, For the Greater Good.
Yeah.
They have a stratagem. I can find it here.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about these is this is the truck without the grinder on the front.
So this is the truck without the grinder.
You left your drill at home.
I did. The drill's okay. I don't think it's great.
You're trying to sell me on the orc truck.
I might be. But it all plays into the I think that the Genestealer Cult should be a truck army, in my opinion.
That could be a cool place to brew here. We could go down that path. I mean,
already one of the most expensive armies to purchase. I'm going to make it more expensive by putting everybody in a truck.
By buying all the vehicles. This sounds like a bad idea.
All right. So it is called. Everyone's going to be yelling. Okay, you ready? Are you ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
In the 41st millennium.
Oh my god.
No one else has learned how to do evasive driving.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew this was the stupid strat you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
All right. Hit me with it. What's this thing do?
So for 1 CP, you can use it on your truck. Unit from your chosen army is targeted made of range attack until the end of that phase. Armor penetration characteristics of -1 or -2 are treated as having a armor pen characteristic of 0.
So I like that.
Right. So now I believe it has a 4+ armor save base,
it's a 4-up armor.
So you can use this and you'll pretty much always have a 4-up.
Yep.
Okay, I guess if somebody's hitting you with something that AP -3 or something, you're kind of boned, but you're going to know what's coming.
Shoot my 20-point truck or whatever with this Melta cannon. Go ahead.
But it's already a pretty durable truck. It's cheap. You can shrug wounds free, and you can get a 4+ save and ignore up to 2 rend if you need to. I think this truck's pretty cool. Not to mention that if I don't think, do vehicles get cult creeds? Because there's some cult creeds that this is kind of cool with.
Well, they have the cult bracketed
No, infantry
thing,
and
but
bikers. So.
infantry and bikers. So okay, so no,
So
again,
it actually doesn't have like what every other codex has,
oh
where they
boy.
started giving these things. So I think it's
Okay,
just
this
showing
isn't looking good, but
it's not
this
looking good.
is not looking good. Okay,
But
okay,
I
so
still like these Goliath trucks. Now you might say, Rob, you only like it because you're a Dark Eldar player and you want to throw everything into
yeah, I
transport.
was just gonna say this looks a lot like a raider or an
It
orc
does.
truck or
It is.
a
It's very
venom.
similar. It is. It doesn't hold as many people as either of those two options,
Oh
but
god.
your guys are terrible. So putting them in something that's going to keep them alive a little bit longer is good, especially for playing objective games. So Goliath
Okay.
trucks, I like 6 of them.
Okay, hold on. We went
Boom.
0 to 6 in a minute there. Hold
I
on.
know. I
All
take
right.
6. I would take 6, and I don't even care what's in them yet. 6 trucks. That's where I'm starting.
Okay, we'll start there. However,
They do have twin autocannons.
oh god. Yeah, but they probably hit on
Well,
sixes.
they hit on 4s.
Okay.
I mean, they got a
Yeah, and
degrading
it's heavy,
profile with
isn't
their
it?
ballistic
It's
skill, but
heavy. Okay.
but it's a vehicle, so it doesn't care.
Oh, that's true. Okay, here's the thing though. So we know a couple things. I'm making fun of these, but I do think this is probably one of the better units. We know how objectives and transports play this edition,
Hmm.
and that is the key strategy right now.
Right.
You know, you want transports that have to be shot. You want some trickery on top, like Eldar is notorious for the lightning fast strat, where you get a clutch -1 to hit in the open. Those kind of strats are good enough just to make someone shoot one more time at those vehicles, which is
Hmm.
big if you have more than one, right? If you have 6 of these, or 6 Venoms, or 6 Star Weavers, and one of them all of a sudden takes an extra round of shooting to kill, that's a pretty big deal. And it's going to spit out something that's probably OBSEC, not Genestealers, but something else, hopefully, that's OBSEC.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many troops this book has, but let's hope to God there's more than just Genestealers.
Right.
Um, okay, so it's not bad. I mean, if
It's
these
not bad.
things are pretty cheap,
It's got the twin
that's okay.
autocannons. It's that I mean, autocannons are good.
Sure.
You're 4 shots, whatever. The heavy stubber is what terrible. I
Yeah.
don't care. But the cache of demolition charges is, I think, probably the best part, because you're going to want these things. I think this is a close combat army for the most part. You're going to want this thing charging in. It's going to be tying up units or other people's vehicles or whatever. You want it throwing these cache charges, and you want to really dig them into your opponent so that when they break them, they explode and just do mortal wounds. And every little bit counts. The strategy. Okay, so I real quick, I just want to say this is
Hmm.
a trading army, right?
Yeah.
You are not. This is not an elite army. You're never going to be like, this unit's going to stand and hold this position. You are going to trade unit for unit with your opponent, and your goal is to trade more units, or have
Yeah.
your
Trade
opponent
for
trade more
yeah.
units than you're trading. And you're going to be using multiple waves of incoming units to kind of play that trade game,
Okay,
because
so
everything's gonna die.
yeah,
Your
I
army
think
is gonna
that's
die,
fair.
but it's cheap.
I think that's fair. I really do like the evasive driving. I'm all in on that. That's that strat to mitigate just an extra little bit of shooting.
Hmm.
I mean, like, think of all the crap that's going to happen where they're going to shoot. They're going to shoot at one of these on objective and hope that they kill it with all their garbage weaponry, and then they're not, and then they're going to be sitting there with something like their Leviathan Dread or their thing with their dark lances, and they're going to have to put one more wound on this stupid thing because they couldn't get through it with their AP 1 and 2 garbage weapons. They did 9 wounds and it's still sitting there. Now they have to shoot a good gun. Um, and those type of scenarios are very real. I mean, playing Harlequins in transports, that's exactly what happens all the time. I see it happen to Dark Eldar, right? Even like Marines now that are bringing a bunch of rhinos. Maybe one day we'll do a Marine tech episode, and we can talk about rhino spam again. And like, that is totally a strategy this edition. So, okay, we've got our Goliath truck. I have to ask, why not the rock grinder? Why not
Right.
the 2 power level higher version of this guy?
So the Rack Grinder only holds 5 models.
Okay,
So
that
right off the
sucks.
bat, I'm not a huge. I'm sorry, 6. You can transport up to 6.
So 5.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I my opinion is that if you're gonna have a unit of 5 guys, what are you taking? You're probably taking like Metamorphs, and at that point, those are probably the units with hand flamers that I'm going to be
Yeah.
ambushing underground, and they're going to pop up and 5d6 hand flamer you.
Yeah.
So I don't really like
Okay,
putting
yeah.
anything in here.
I mean, it's still going to die, right? And it's probably more
It's
expensive.
yeah, it's more expensive. I think
Yeah,
it's got an extra toughness, which it's toughness 7, and I mean, I don't want to assume everybody knows, but toughness 7 is kind of a garbage stat.
I agree with that. Yep, absolutely.
So
T8 or bust.
yeah, I mean T6 is good, T8's fine,
Yeah,
but what is toughness 7 really doing for you? It's not nothing. So it's just
yeah.
a waste of points. Uh, it can have the cash, so that's cool. But an already expensive transport, you're making more expensive. And why is it so expensive? Because it has this heavy seismic cannon, which I think is terrible. I don't know why it's. I don't know.
It doesn't look good. It looks
Like
like a
the
crappy
12-inch,
version.
yeah, the 12-inch profile is probably the best version of it. But even that's like
Ugh.
12 inches is
Uh,
so bad.
yeah,
I
and
hope
it's heavy. Yeah, it's heavy still. So
I hope to
you're
see
not
some of these.
advancing.
Well, the heavy doesn't matter
Yeah,
so
but
much.
you're
It's
not advancing and shooting. You're not.
right, but you're shooting in combat.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
okay. Yeah.
I don't know. It sucks though. Like, I'm sorry, it
It's
does.
going to die anyway, right? I think that's what's going to happen. It's T7 over T6, which is nothing.
Yeah,
Has the same number of wounds. It degrades worse. It actually degrades worse. Look at its movement. Its movement goes from 10 inches to 6 inches. And the
yeah.
truck goes from 12 to
Well,
8.
that's another thing. It's slower in an army
Yeah.
that you need to kind of be fast. The drill dozer blade
Oh,
that
man.
looks awesome
Drill doze.
is strength 9,
Yeah.
-2 armor pen, D3 damage, and D3 damage. I'm sorry, but I don't like
Oh,
it.
my God.
You can make
It's a
D3
custody
additional
sword.
attacks on a turn in which it charged. So it has what, 6 attacks? Let's say it's at full bracket. Six
Okay.
attacks plus D3 more, which means 7.
Sure. Yep.
And
Every day.
like it hits on, what does it hit on, 4s? Ugh, gross.
Yeah.
Hits on
Sweet.
4s. It's strength 9. I mean, you're paying a premium for this
All right.
thing, and at this
We can
point, I'm
move
like,
on. I got it.
yep,
You
I
proved your
don't like
point.
it.
All right.
And then chimeras would be sweet, but now they can only take in brood brothers. So
Okay. And we say we're
you
not
used to
talking
be able
Brood
to put
Brothers.
metamorphs into them. Now you can't. I guess the reasoning is they weren't selling enough Goliath trucks.
I feel like that's always a thing. That's
Yeah, that's
always a
always
thing that
it's always
happens.
the thing.
All
All
right.
right,
So let's back up for a minute here.
sure.
We've got trucks. We need to put stuff in them, right? So we need to put stuff in, and we are not putting Genestealers in. So, all right. So if we're not putting, what's even funnier about these Genestealers? I thought we were putting them in because they were troops. They're not even troops.
They're not even
They're
troops.
elites.
They're garbage.
What a joke.
Moving on.
What a joke. All right. So Acolyte Hybrids, Neophyte Hybrids,
Uh huh.
and that's it.
Well, for
Oh
troop,
boy,
yeah,
for
yeah.
troops.
No, I think brood brother infantry squads are troop, but I don't think there's ever a reason to really take them.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about them. They look like
Yeah,
crap.
we'll leave them out. I mean, they're guardsmen without any of the cool guardsman abilities. They do have the unquestioning loyalty and cold ambush, but so this is one of the times that one of the point changes came in, and I think it made neophyte hybrids just the better choice overall.
Yeah, it looks
Um,
like. I mean, they look like they're basically the guardsmen with the new kit for looking like a Genestealer cultist, right? They're
right.
T3
Well,
strength, right? At the same.
they got their Genestealer cult weapon loadouts, which you know. When you're sitting there saying, "Hey, your good weapon loadouts are like grenade launchers and shotguns and stuff like
Oh
that,"
boy,
you're in trouble.
this
Uh,
is.
auto guns are garbage. I mean, these guys, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. These guys are trash. They're not good. They're cheap. That's why they're good.
Yeah.
So they're cheap. You're going to throw them on an objective. The grenade launcher is pretty decent. They can
Oh
take the
man.
mining lasers, which are okay. I think you can take 2 when you have 10 of them. Yeah, up to
Can
2
they
neophytes can replace a special weapon. Yeah, so you can have
with
2
a
of them.
heavy? Oh wait.
They
Okay.
are heavy
Heavy mining weapons.
and they're not great. So I think it's a single shot at like 24 inches or something. But it's kind of like a little ass cannon. So it's not terrible. They're not terribly expensive either. Um,
Okay. Now the Acolyte Hybrids are the melee equipped version of your garbage troop, right?
uh,
So
I
they are the
mean,
guys that
yes.
get like drills and cutters, and these were the
Hmm.
guys that were spammed, en masse and got all of their weapons increased through the roof
Well,
before.
there's also the hybrid metamorphs too, which are a more They're like
Okay.
elite versions of those guys. I guess if you want to think of it, they're like the
Well, they've
what
got
is
an
it?
extra
They're like
arm.
the hybrid veterans. That's the best way I can describe it.
I'm not
These
gonna make
guys,
it through this book. All
yeah, these
right.
guys. Well, these guys are actually really cool for a single reason, and we can talk about them in a second.
Okay. Well, I still want to look at the troops though because
Sure.
I want
Yes.
to pick something to go in these trucks because if you blow up a truck, I
Right.
expect something OBSEC to come out. At least some of our
You're
trucks.
right. And that's going to probably be like 2 units of neophyte hybrids,
Yeah.
maybe 3 units, maybe 4 units. I guess
Yeah.
it depends where your points start shaking down.
Yeah. Okay.
I would give them the mining lasers probably. They don't really have a whole lot of great options, but I feel like mining lasers is the way to go just for the trying to get it. We can talk about there are some custom builds that you can take to kind of help with the mining lasers hitting, where I
Yeah.
believe you can ignore the fact that they're heavy and you can re-roll hit rolls for them.
Okay.
But
Well.
again,
Oh man.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the way to go.
Well, maybe we should we take a peek at the cult creeds just so we know what we can fall back on, or do you
I
want
would,
to keep going through the
yeah, sure.
units?
I think we should just go through the units.
Yeah. All
The
right.
cult creeds. There's a lot of stuff you can do with them. I don't honestly think at this point it's going to impact the units that I like and don't like. I think the best one that you're probably going to want to take is the one that gives the invul save, mainly because it also gives you a really good spell.
Yeah, so there's bladed cog,
The
just for
bladed cog,
reference. It's you
right?
get a 6-up. This is what you see with the weird blue boy orcs, whatever those guys are, death
Yeah,
skulls. This is why everybody takes that. Your garbage units now have a 6-up. So maybe we'll start there. So yeah.
yeah, and that's good. But I think that the reason that it's good is because in the Psychic Awakening book, they actually get a spell that gives them, in addition to the 6-up, a 5+ shrug, which
Okay. That's fair.
on key units is going to be really good.
All right, so we'll start with that. And
So
this cult also can move and fire heavy without
right,
penalty, so you get your full on 4-up, which is awesome.
I think there's also an opportunity and something that our people can keep in mind is this could easily you could see running 2 different cults with an
Yeah.
army like this. You could have one cult that this is going to be like your hammer cult, which is going to be the one that's a little more defensive, and then you
Hmm.
could have like a Ridge Runner cult or something that's a little more aggressive or a little more strength heavy because this actually used to be one of the big benefits in the old edition, but now that you have to pay CP to buy those extra detachments, it's really more of a hindrance. So
Yeah. All
it's
right.
just they're in a really rough place. So I want to talk about Alkali Hybrids because I think
All
these
right. Cool.
guys are great.
All right. Let's move there.
You can take, I believe it's 4 heavy rock cutters in a 10-man squad.
Okay. Yep.
So the heavy rock cutters are really good. I mean, these guys have what, 3 attacks, 2 attacks. There's tons of spells and synergy to buff up these guys' attacks, and
They're strength
they
4
can just
base
do a
too.
ton of damage, and they do extra damage to vehicles.
Cool. I mean, I could see that. You drive your orc trucks
Oh, I'm
in.
sorry, I read that wrong. Roll a d6 each time a model other than a vehicle suffers damage from this weapon. If you roll higher than the model's remaining number of wounds, it instantly kills them. So
Okay. I
that's
think
good.
yeah, I mean that's okay. I mean there's also the rock saw, which is just the 2 damage flat version of this without that special rule. So I guess all of these weapons are about the same. They're all strength 2, which is I guess the important part. So they're hitting at strength 8.
Yeah, the rock saw is also really good. I think it
Yeah.
really kind of comes down to the points here on all this. Does the rock
Yeah.
saw -1 to hit? No, it's not.
No, it is not.
So the rock saw is probably the better go-to.
Yeah. And your
Flat.
your weapon skill 3, right? These guys are the melee ones, so yeah, your weapon skill 3.
Yep.
That's not
So
bad.
I take that back. The -1 to hit is really brutal. 4+.
Yeah.
Man, I really like. Jeez. I mean, I'm looking at these heavy rock cutters, and when I was thinking of stuff like Death Guard, right?
Yeah.
So more than likely, you're only going to really do 1 wound to these guys anyway, and then you just need to roll a like a 3+,
Hmm.
and it's dead.
That's true.
No discussing resilient, no anything.
Yeah,
Like it
if you
just
roll
kills them.
higher than the model's remaining number of wounds, instantly slain. So now, each time a model suffers damage from this weapon. So, man, that's a lot of rolling, but
Right, but
That's pretty nasty.
it's AP -4.
Yeah.
So like, again, I'm thinking now, would I have 4 squads of these guys? Probably not. Would I take maybe 1 squad with these guys? Maybe, because imagine what 4 of these guys is going to do to, like, I don't know, let's say a Death Shroud unit or Death Guard
Yeah.
Terminators,
Or
guys that
unit
have
of
the 3
aggressors,
wounds,
right?
or
Primaris stuff with 3 wounds.
aggressors,
Yep.
or yeah, it sucks. And the way this works is, correct me if I'm wrong, but you kind of have to roll each of them individually.
I would, yeah, just so nobody tries any bullshit. There's
Right.
no question about it. Like I'm gonna roll this out.
I'll
If
do
you
these
fail
3
it,
guys,
yep,
and then I'll do these 3 guys,
yep,
or this guy, I'll do this guy, and this guy.
yeah,
Man, I don't know. I guess it comes down to the points, and I can take a look at that here in a little bit. But I looked at this, and while it kind of sounds like it's crappy, if you can squeak 1 wound through, you're gonna have 4 guys with these things. So you're gonna have what, 8 attacks.
yeah.
They're gonna hit on 4s, which kind of stinks. But hopefully, each one of these guys can get 1 through, and they're gonna be wounding on 3s. I don't know.
There are other
Taking
ways
out
to boost your attacking too, like your
right.
either number of attacks or your to hit roll. So uh, that
So,
-1 kind of washes
so
out.
that being said, though, these guys really want to attack a specific unit, and you're going to specifically target that unit to kill with this. This could be a good unit to actually do the cult ambush and pop all the CP to do that, because this could make someone really pay
Oh yeah,
a price. And then I'd probably give the rest of them the heavy rock saws. The next thing I want to talk about, which is silly, is the hand flamer, because it's cheap. It's strength 3. It does D6 shots. Its range is 12 now, so you can
that's
pop
right.
up anywhere. And
Ooh.
I like 5-man squads of these guys for simple objective scoring, secondary scoring. You know, you're going to pop them up on 4 corners of the board kind of thing. You're going to get your line breaker, whatever. They're going to threaten somebody's squad who is on their unguarded objective with maybe like a small squad of something.
Yeah.
They're going to pop up. They're going to do 5d6 shots at strength 3. Now, the strength 3 part sucks, but I mean, what are you shooting at? You know, cultists maybe?
Yeah, I
Who
mean, is there
knows?
a way to boost that D6 to a flat?
I
Well,
don't think
are
so.
hand flamers blast or anything? Does that
No,
matter?
they're flame. They're flamer weapons. So
Yeah,
they
they
auto
auto
hit.
hit, but I mean, like the numb shots thing. Like, are flamers
No,
blast weapons and all that?
nope.
Is that can you get up to 6 shots?
No, but the demo charges are, which
Okay.
makes those demo charges still really good.
Okay, so these guys are interesting. I mean, in this book, your core troop unit actually is pretty good.
It is. I honestly
Huh.
think it's your best thing. And these Alkali hybrids,
Yeah.
I think they're great. I think
Okay.
having at least 2 or 3 units of 5 that you just use to just pop up in the backfield and flamethrower things is really strong. It's dirt cheap, and it gets you scoring troops. I think then you take maybe some squads of 10s, you melee deck them out so that they can really hit hard.
Yeah. Wow,
And then
that's
if you have
crazy. Every model can take a hand flamer.
every single model,
My
you could
God.
have a squad of 10 of these guys in the truck with hand flamers, and then that truck runs up and you get 10d6 hand
Oh yeah,
flamer
open
shots
top.
out the open top.
Okay.
There's a lot that you can do with these guys, and I think they're really, really cool. I would always give them hand flamers, and then
Yeah.
I think they can have a hand flamer and the heavy rock cutter
Oh yeah.
or the rock saw. So
Yeah, because you replace the auto pistol, so
right, and
that's all it
now you're
says.
spending
So
points on these guys, and now you see why I
yeah.
like these trucks so much, because the trucks kind of keep these really vulnerable units safe until you can at least throw them into your opponent's line, start flamethrowing, start, you know, charging or getting into combat, charging out of trucks, things like that. I think these guys are pretty cool. And then also, like I said, little 5-man squads that you don't necessarily care about, you can always pop them up underground. They're neat. And I think 5-man with the
Yeah.
flamers are about the same amount of points. I think they're cheaper than the Neophyte 10 Neophyte hybrids. So I don't know. There's a lot you can do with them.
All right. So we got Acolyte Hybrids, we got
Mhm.
hand flamers,
Right.
we got some heavy
Oh, one other thing to
rock
note:
cutters
the Alkali hybrids can also take the banner, which I think allows them to reroll ones to hit. So you basically have a built-in
in the
captain.
fight phase. Yeah, it says there's the cult icon or whatever.
Yeah. So they
Yep.
carry around a built-in captain with them, which if you're
Oh
making
man.
the close combat unit with the decking them all out with as many of the rock cutters or heavy rock saws or whatever you want to take, you 100% take this. I think the rest of them have the Colt blades, which give them an extra attack. So they're no slouches in combat. They're actually really good in combat. And like you said earlier, there's lots of ways to boost their attacks. So they can hit hard. You just got to get them there.
Yep.
And you get them there using trucks, because you're not going to be able to Colt ambush all of them, and you're just going to waste all your CP trying.
All right. I mean, I'd buy it. We are now the Transport Podcast.
All right. So Hybrid Metamorphs. Let's talk about them real quick. These guys are kind of terrible. They're not too expensive. And the only reason that I want to talk about them is the Metamorph Whip.
The whip.
If the bearer is slain in a fight phase, before it has made its attacks, leave it where it is. When the unit's chosen to fight in that phase, the bearer can do so normally before removing from the battlefield. So basically, after you die, you can still make an attack. Okay. Now you might be saying, Rob, why is that so good on these crappy guys?
This does not look good. He's a
because it's
0 guy.
Right. Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible, right?
This is terrible.
Right. This is why it's good. Let me tell you. Ready?
Yep.
Like I said before, this is an army about trading, right? So you need to make sure that you're always out trading your opponent. What these guys allow you to do is you basically are going to sacrifice them to hold someone up, right? Somebody's going to come in, they're going to charge into you or whatever. They're going to kill you, but not be able to pile into anything else or pile in onto an objective or pile in anywhere. These guys will stop them from doing that. And they will just sit there and take it, because you don't remove them until they're dead. So they can't go anywhere. They have to wait.
That's horrible.
So they're like
the closest model. He's still the closest. You just killed him, and he's still the closest model.
Right. So he's just a roadblock. This unit is a roadblock unit, and they prevent your opponent from like moving up the board.
Oh, that is cool. Okay, I think you got something there. These guys, I like that. That's really cool.
It's interesting. And I don't really know too many armies that have the same kind of thing. But I think this is something really unique to the Genestealer Cult. And there's a lot of tactics that you can do to prevent your opponent from doing something that they thought they were going to get away with.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. I never caught that.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting thing.
Okay.
And it's not that expensive either. So we could talk about how you're going to build this army, and you're probably going to take a brigade. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Because
there's lots of units.
You have so many elites and stuff that you want to take in this unit with these little cheap characters and stuff. And these guys are actually pretty cheap. And little 5-mans, you could probably put 2 in a truck, or you could put one of these guys in a truck with 5 of the hand flamer guys, and then just throw them out there. You definitely don't want to use these guys to charge, because it's going to completely undo what they're there to do. And you want these guys to be charged by your opponent in your phase, and you're going to use them to kind of screen or shield. And I guess your opponent could technically shoot them, but I mean, they're going to be able to shoot anything in your army. So that's the only thing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we have a little bit of a trap built in here with these guys. I like this. You got to consolidate, but you basically can't. So whatever's behind them. So maybe there's a case where there's a truck with these guys in a unit of 5, and then there's a character or something.
Sure.
So that truck gets blown up. I guess maybe they didn't shoot everything to death, but let's just say they do get charged. They're killed. Your character's free. He can move around them. He can go in. You can shoot and then charge in. There's something here. I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And these guys would be in what I would call my first wave.
Okay.
Right? These are the guys that are in the trucks that are up front that your opponent is going to shoot at first.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is that the trucks are dedicated transports, by the way. So you can take 1 for every unit. I was looking at the rock grinder stuff, and those are not. Those are heavy. So
you could put something like a patriarch in here too, because if you have a 5-man and 5 patriarch.
Yeah.
But this is definitely like your first wave truck. You're going to want to throw these guys out there. You're expecting this truck to die. Meanwhile, like your actual close combat truck may not die. It depends on what your opponent focuses on. But usually a lot of people will try to shoot usually the closest thing. Not always, but a lot of times.
Yeah.
All right, so those are units that I like.
Yeah, okay, that's good stuff. So we're filling trucks with these 3 units. This book has 100 other units in it.
It does.
So what else do you do? I mean,
so
I'd go down the Hero Hammer path with the Patriarch, but what else do we have besides that?
Okay, so here's the last thing that I want to bring up, and then I'll turn it over to you a little bit. I really, really like Ridge Runners.
Those are the buggies, right? The Doom
They're the
buggies.
buggies,
What a
right?
cool model,
With the
man.
jack,
Sick.
I feel like if you're not taking the Jackal Alphas in your list, you're doing it wrong.
All
So
right, so start with him and then go into the buggies.
her, I believe
Her.
it's a her.
Excuse me.
It's
Gene
okay.
stealers have all sexes apparently. Gene cultists.
So the big thing that she does is that at the start of your shooting phase, it's priority target sighted. You can start your shooting phase, select an enemy unit that is visible to the within 36 of this model. Till the end of that phase, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by friendly cult units that target that
Oh
enemy
man.
unit while they're within 6 inches of this model.
She's a spotter.
Yep, any models that can be selected as target as the target of this ability once per phase.
Yeah, yeah.
She also, in the Psychic Awakening book, has another strat that kind of does the same thing, except for it's a bigger area.
So you're basically doubling down on this effect,
Yeah, let me
or
check this. So
bit of
there's this
redundancy.
integrated VoxNet. So use the stratagem at the start of shooting phase. Select the Jackal Alphas from your army until the end of the phase. Replace that model's priority target sighted model with the following: Vox Contact. At the start of your shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 36, invisible to this model. Till the end of that phase, when resolving attacks made by this friendly cult model against that unit, while that unit is within 18 inches, add 1 to the hit roll. An enemy unit can be selected as the target priority once per. Oh, yeah, once per phase.
Yeah. So 6 to 18 inches.
Right, you're adding 1 to hit rolls for everything within 18.
Okay. Okay, that's a lot of CP for that, though. Man,
It is
2 CP. Why the hell is that 2 CP? Okay, so you're going from 6 inches, but that is a big deal. You're basically anything that appears near her now. So okay,
well,
maybe this is very good.
your whole army shooting at it now.
Yeah, yeah.
And I wouldn't use this for everything. This is like you need to take down, I don't know, the Mortarian, which you probably wouldn't do anyway. But if you were going to try, this is what I would do, where your whole army is going to basically benefit from getting +1 to hits. So if you need something to die and you want to put your whole army at it, this is what you do. The Jackal Alphys herself normally is only 6 inches, so it's a pretty small bubble. If you're a biker cult unit, you get 12 inches. Her gun's not that great. She's -1 to hit. I mean, really, you're just taking her for what she does for your army.
Yeah, I mean, the Bladed Cog also have a Warlord trait, which I guess she could take. I'm not sure. I guess she could. She could be your Warlord, maybe. Where anything around you in 6 inches, like once per game or something, can reroll wounds, I think, or gets a bonus to wounds. So it's kind of like uh, that Ultramarines relic where like you pop it once per game, and everybody around her that shoots at something you target does better at their wound rolls. I think it's full rerolls. Yeah, it's full rerolls of wounds. It's called single-minded obsession. Basically, the start of the game, you pick Mortarion, and then everything near her that gets her +1 to hit is now also rerolling all wounds. Okay,
right.
That's pretty good. So,
Yeah,
are the Ridge Runners what's shooting with her?
I mean, it depends on what you do.
Yeah.
But yes, I like the Ridge Runners here. So there's a couple different loadouts. You can take the heavy mortars, or you can take heavy mining lasers. Heavy mining lasers, 36 D3 shots, strength 9, -3 D6. So actually pretty good.
Love that profile.
Yeah, I'd like to see a 3 plus D3 here personally,
Yeah.
but
That would be
what
good.
are you gonna do? There's another build that I like with these guys, which is the heavy mortars. Being able to shoot anything out of line of sight is really cool.
Yep.
48 inches is pretty much the entire board nowadays. And I kind of personally like the idea of your Jackal Alphys kind of peeking around corners, targeting stuff, and these guys can just basically hide in the back, completely out of sight, and shoot these mortars. And you might be like, well, Rob, can't you just take heavy weapon mortar teams? You can, but they're only strength 4, and these are strength 5 -1.
Right. No,
so
strength 5 is good. Yeah.
I do like the heavy mortars, but let's take the heavy mining lasers. I like 3 of these guys, and let's not forget about their heavy stubbers, which you might actually forget about their heavy stubbers, but
It's a lot.
don't sleep on their heavy stubbers, and I'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
You can take spotters to increase the range by 6. I don't think that matters. Or I think the one that ignores the saving throws for cover is the best one to take, the survey auger.
Okay.
These guys scout, so you can move them up. The only downside is, I believe, the way that your Brood Brother Blip stuff works with deployment is you'd actually have to deploy these out to do the scout.
Okay.
So they
Yeah,
wouldn't
I
you
would
wouldn't be
imagine.
blipping these guys, which may be good in some games and may not. It's kind of up to you. There's opportunities though, and I like that. And Scout's a good ability.
Now this the auger is interesting. I mean, removing cover is huge because remember these guys do not suffer the penalty for moving and shooting their heavy weapons if they are. Oh, these are vehicles anyway. But I was going to say, but that's our bladed cog stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so they're still hitting on fours, but you're negating cover, and most of the honestly everything in the game is -1 to hit now all the time. Unless you're
Yep,
super close, I always find that you're -1 to hit to shoot stuff. So ignoring that aspect of cover is big. And getting that extra AP, out of there. These are pretty good.
they're pretty good. So
Yeah.
now I want to talk about another great name strat for these guys.
All right.
Again, in the 41st millennium, no one else has figured out how to do raking fire.
Raking fire,
So
Jesus.
use this strat. It's 1
Raking
CP.
fire.
Select one Achilles Ridge Runner unit from your army. Until the end of the turn, when resolving attacks made with heavy stubbers,
Oh, you're kidding me.
add 1 to hit and wound rolls.
Okay, I'm on board. I'll pay for anything that gives a +1 to wound.
+1 to hit and wound. So now, those heavy stubbers that you were sleeping on, and remember, they each have 2. So that's, if you take 3 of them, that's 6, 12, 18 shots. That if you're shooting the marked target, is hitting on 2s.
Yeah.
And wounding, if you target priority correctly, it's probably going to be wounding on 3s. But, I mean, these things can easily shred a raider or any
Yeah.
other kind of light tank because you're going to be wounding on 4s. As long as it doesn't have a 3+ armor save, you should be doing some pretty good damage to things like that. So the
That's
heavy
interesting.
stubber
Yeah.
is a terrible weapon,
God.
but with the raking fire and
Okay.
the jackal, they actually put out a bunch of damage.
It's 1 CP, right? These nickel and
1
dime
CP.
strats, I
1
love them, right?
CP.
That's what it's all about now.
On top of that, you also got those heavy mining lasers that are
Yeah.
going to be hitting on 3s.
Okay.
So
Now here's a question for you. Okay, so we've got heavy stubbers that are
mm-hmm.
strength 4, kind of acting like strength 5 now. What about an anti-infantry mob of these where you take the mortars at
Yeah,
natural
see,
strength 5 and then
right.
you raking fire on that unit
Well, the
for the
mortars are blast too.
yeah. So the stubbers are now shooting at the same thing that your strength 5 guns
Mm-hmm.
kind of shoot. And
Right.
maybe you outflank. Maybe you don't even do this ambush shit. Maybe you just pay the CP and you put them in outflanking or whatever.
Could.
Or I don't know. They probably have other strats to do this. And now all of a sudden you don't care about the out of sight stuff. You come in to shoot a bunch of infantry.
Could do that too. Yeah. I
All
really like
right.
these Ridge Runners. I think they're kind of a gem in this book as well.
Hmm. Yeah, it's good stuff.
And I I don't know if you need to pay the CP to hide these guys. I think you're gonna have your Goliath trucks, you're gonna have all this other stuff that people are trying to deal with. I don't think people are really going to see these Ridge Runners. They have 8 wounds, 4+ armor save. If you take the bladed cog, it's 6s, right? So actually, do they get the 6? I don't think they get it because they're a vehicle. Again, yeah,
Yeah. These you just buy these for what they are
it
here.
is what it is. Anyway, these guys are cool. I like them. I think I like the mortars a little bit better. The heavy mining laser does have its place. The fact that it's blast means that at least you're probably going to be doing at least 3 guaranteed 3 hits or shots with each one of them. Again, if you're target marking them up, you're hitting on 3s. I think these things are cool, man. I like them.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we've got a bunch of trucks. We've
Yep.
got the Ridge Runners. We've got this Jackal chick on the bike,
Uh-huh.
sniper spotter. Um, I like this. It looks pretty cool. Do you take the regular bikes? Are they garbage? They what? What do they
Well,
do?
so they're pretty garbage. There's maybe some saving graces them. There's a lot of synergy that you can put around them to get a bunch of attacks.
Yeah.
They they have all these profiles here, but you got to pay attention. They can actually take power hammers, I believe it is.
Oh, nice. So bikes in melee, huh?
Well, they're not great at shooting because
They
they're
sure
the
aren't.
best thing that they have is shotguns, and shotguns. I mean, they're okay. They're not the greatest
Yeah,
weapon ever.
yeah,
They're assault 2. You know,
yeah.
they're strength 3 if you're within half range, which means you're up close. You might as well be charging. But
I
so the
mean, there's
power,
blasting charges, right? But those are grenades. You
right?
can't.
But there is a stratagem I believe that allows you to throw a bunch of these.
Yeah, I think so. And this might be a good time to bring up the basic stratagem that everybody thinks about. It's basically the one where uh, you get an extra bonus when you come in from the shadows, and it's basically the one that everybody used to. It's called perfect ambush, but it's the one that everybody used to use with all over and over with the aberrants and stuff, right? I'm just gonna read it real quick because it applies to bikers too. Um, when they use the cold ambush ability and arrive on the battlefield, they can either move d6 inches. Okay, so now we're close enough for things like grenades, or you can shoot with all your weapons. Um, or you can what else can you do? I think that's all you can do.
No, I think you want the one that's
Something
3
like
CP
that.
that allows you to move and
Yeah,
then
you
charge.
basically it allows you to pop up and move. So you pop up, you move. Now you're within your 6 inch grenades, and then you use the strat to throw a bunch of grenades or something.
Hmm.
So maybe, I
Well,
mean, maybe that's a thing.
your other option is to take like max squad of these guys, and they get the buggies too. Don't forget about the buggies; those can have heavy mining lasers, so they can actually put
Oh
out some
yeah,
decent shots with the heavy mining lasers.
they're four wheelers.
The problem is this unit starts getting pretty expensive, and it's kind of garbage. The only two saving graces that I think is that your toughness 4, they have 2 wounds,
Yep,
and the
two
wolf quads
wounds.
have 4 wounds. So if
Okay.
you need something to draw lots of fire, putting the 5+ ignore spell on these guys and kind of throwing them up there saying, hey, opponent, shoot these things. You don't want them to be around because they do have the threat of, like you said, the getting up close and doing the grenade charge strat. If you give them the power hammers, they're actually not terrible because they think they become strength 5 at AP minus 1/1 damage, which isn't terrible, but they only have 1 attack, so it's really not worth it. So you'd really have to then have a character near them to start casting spells and doing all that stuff that we kind of alluded to.
Yeah.
Honestly, these guys, their best point spent is to die because they're kind of durable. They can take a lot of wounds, essentially mess up your opponent's shooting phase, or make them make bad choices by trying to shoot and kill them when they're all buffed up, preventing them from shooting other things. So that is the best
Yeah.
use I could see for these guys. But for the amount of points that you're going to spend on it, personally, I think maybe just throwing like a Le Mans Rust tank in there to soak some fire might be better and easier.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, these aren't great, are they? I mean, like, I'm looking at some of the separate cult creed stuff to try to
mm-hmm.
build your own. I mean, you can give +1 strength to grenade weapons. You can do things like, oh man,
Yeah,
there's really just not a
there
lot of great
there's ways to
bonuses.
build around these guys, and I think if you like them and you think they're cool, you can make them work. But me personally, I don't know if I would waste my time and effort on them right now. Personally, I'd rather be spending my stratagems on getting those trucks into close combat, throwing their demo charges that do way more damage to things, and then if they kill my truck, then I spend the CP to do mortal wounds, which would probably end up doing more damage overall anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah,
That's what I like. If you like something else, by all means, but I don't think these guys are that great yet. I think if they get a new codex, they should be kind of the poster boys of the codex because they're
yeah,
cool, they're different. It's just that what they have isn't terrible, but they don't have the stat line to make it work. Like 1 attack is garbage. I'm sorry.
yeah. These guys are kind of confused. They don't look too great. I mean, yeah, okay. I guess there's one trick builds you can make. We'll just move past that, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
see, not for our list. Okay, so we're popping up trucks with guys. We're clogging up the board. We're playing the transport game, and we've got some ridge runners. Probably 9 of them. Probably a lot of ridge runners doing our shooting.
You know what? I honestly I think 3 of them is the way to go.
Just 3 heavy. Would you
Yeah,
do that?
because
Maybe.
you want to use the strat.
Yeah.
So without the
True.
strat, I
Yeah,
don't
that's
think these
good.
guys are that great. So multiple squads of these things, I think, is a lot of points. Um, that being said, if you're taking a brigade, you need 3 fast attack. So
All
me
right.
personally,
Well.
I would take 1 squad of them and either some sort of scout sentinel or like just some 5 bike squad, just something
Yeah.
dirt cheap It's fast. It can kind of do things that you need it to do. Scout
Okay.
Sentinels are never bad. It's a pretty durable unit. You could use it to sit on objectives that you have in the rear. That's kind of, like I said, this is a wave army, so you don't want stuff coming up behind you. So
That's
having
true.
cheap Sentinels or things like that that can kind of just board control, they could sit on objectives, and if once you get your opponent into the situation where they can't like deep strike behind you anymore, these guys are free to kind of move up or do what they need to do, which is pretty much nothing. I would just give them a heavy flamer because you're not hitting.
Sure. Yeah,
So
yeah, you're not gonna shoot things
just
to
take the
hit.
heavy flamer and thank yourself for not worrying about having to roll a hit. And that's kind of my thought process there. Plus, if somebody does try to pop up and charge this thing, you could at least pop a CP Overwatch with it and probably take something out with a heavy flamer.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do
Okay.
personally. And they're not expensive. They're great for board control and they're cheap. So
So I like this board control theme going on here with all the transports, and especially you get out with the five whip boys, and you clog something up. You're
mhm,
probably preventing people from getting to a lot of different objectives. And one of the elite choices here, this character is the Clamavis. The only thing that I really care about him doing is he's got a you know Marine Infiltrators 12-inch you can't arrive here bubble.
mhm,
So those transports hold six. I'm sorry, that was a rock runner. Those transports hold 10, but you're probably not buying 10 of those whip guys. You're buying five, so you've got extra space. Maybe those trucks also have one of these guys.
they could.
So
Yeah.
he's popping out, and I don't think they're unique. I think you could take a couple of these. You got to fill your elites anyway. But yeah, I mean, he pops out and he can get six elites, but he pops out and just stands somewhere. And you have to waste weapons on this guy. Now he's gonna die, but he's just a guard character. But 12-inch no deep strike, I mean, movement happens before shooting, so we all know what infiltrators can do. I don't even know. Maybe you can cult ambush this guy somewhere up on an objective very, very early, maybe turn one, or very, very late. More importantly, so that when people arrive turn three, they're not going to land on an objective and grab it.
Right.
This guy's
Uh,
interesting.
he is interesting, and something that another reason I like this guy is his other ability that he gives +1 leadership to units within 6 inches. In addition to that, they get +1 to their advance and charge rolls, which
Yeah.
again, like you said, I think you do potentially want this guy up front. He's also could potentially hang out in the back to give that no deep strike bubble. He There's a lot of things that you can do with this guy. One of the reasons that I agree with you putting him up front is again because of that leadership bubble, because of that advance, because of that charge stuff that's going on that he can do, guaranteeing that you're getting in their combat. You got your 12-inch ignore thing. Plus, he does the mortal wounds when he's kind of close to people, which is
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Um, this is if there's ever somebody that I wanted to bait someone to shoot at, this might be the character that I put out in front of other units to then get shot at, and then Brood Brother 4+ try to save. You know what I mean?
Oh man. Oh
Uh,
yeah. How
I,
annoying is that?
I'm just saying, if I was ever going to try to bait someone to shoot a unit because I don't want like I would have to be in the situation where it's like, oh, okay, I got this actually close combat unit that got blown out of their truck, and I really don't want them getting shot up, and they got to run across the board a little bit. Maybe I hop this guy out and kind of bait my opponent. Hey, shoot at this guy. Um,
I mean, I think this army is a an annoyance
right.
army.
I caveat that with saying like you better have some neophytes, maybe that you kept in reserve for this exact scenario that pop up next to him,
Yeah.
and then they just eat wounds for him on a 4+.
Yeah, I mean, look, you need a lot of troops. We're going to have a lot of troops. We're going to have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
trucks. So the way that I see this army going is we've established like a dozen annoying units that you have to deal with. We're playing board control. We're gaining secondaries like table quarters or whatever it's called. You're definitely picking something with actions.
Right.
You're probably taking homers or something or scramblers or whatever. So you're doing all this stuff to just straight off piss off people and annoy them. Now you need stuff to kill.
Right.
So
It,
are you nesting characters? Are we
well,
gonna
so
cult
so
ambush?
so real quick before we get into that, I just want to talk real quick about why the truck, why the board control is so important.
Yeah.
Like you said, I mean, not just the secondary part, but when people play against Genestealer Cult, the tried true way to play them was to make sure that the Genestealers can't pop up behind them. So they're going to be spread out, And for you basically, as a Genestealer Cult player, you're going to have 3 turns of the opponent not being able to bring his full army to bear because they're trying to make it so you can't bring your stuff up. Okay, so that's a really powerful mechanic. So that's why you 100% want to keep stuff in reserve as long as possible for this exact reason. So because if you're able to pop up those 5 metamorphs or hybrids, I think they're called,
Whip
behind them and
guys,
stuff,
yeah.
that's it's important. So to counteract my opponent knowing that and doing this is why I like the trucks again so much, because now I'm pushing forward in their face with these fast trucks, and I'm going to try to force them to come up and meet me. And then when they're worried about my trucks, I pop up like the little squads behind them, use those to score my secondaries and things like that. So you're really playing a mind game with your opponent, and you kind of have to, because your stats don't give you the advantage you need. So you kind of gotta outmaneuver them with these guys. But you were saying killing stuff. Well, I kind of want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so I want to include like a patriarch, or
Right.
what you can include, one per detachment, I believe. I think
Yep.
he's not unique, so you can have 2 detachments, right, and have um,
Correct.
2 different cults, let's say. So he's a psyker, which is fine. I think you can go down the psychic tree of buffing your giant Saul unit when it arrives, or you can do little nickel and dime mortal wounds, which is actually kind of why I like him. I think what's going to happen is you're going to hold on to that 3 CP perfect ambush, and you're going to use it to deliver like a killing punch that like really counters when people start to spread fire across your army. So I don't know if Bladed Cog is necessarily worth giving up for any of this, but some things to consider. Okay, so you could take a patriarch, you can deck him out for combat with Twisted Helix. So you basically get a relic with Twisted Helix that makes this guy strength,
Nope.
attacks, and
So you
everything.
got to remember he's a Genestealer.
Is he?
Yes.
So he is still considered too elite for
Yeah,
the
he has the
bonuses.
keyword. He has the keyword Genestealer. So he doesn't.
Oh my
Unfortunately, he
god!
doesn't get the bonuses. Yeah,
But he still gets a warlord trait.
he
Okay,
does get a warlord trait. That
so
is
we'll see if we
correct.
can save him here. Um,
But he's
oh
already
man.
strength 6, so
Okay, so okay,
it's not the end of the world. We already talked about why the stat 7 is kind of lame.
yeah. So he's strength 6. His melee weapon is -3. It's D3 damage, but on a 6, it's AP 6 and damage 3.
Right, which is good.
So one thing I like about this guy is if he is your Twisted Helix Warlord, you can basically give him a trait that makes his weapons +1 damage. So now at a
Mm-hmm.
minimum, you're damage 2, which is the most important part. But also on a 6, you could be hitting at a flat 4. That's pretty good too. So he's one-shotting Death Guard Terminators. He's one-shotting Alaris. You know, he's easily one-shotting Feel No Pain Gravis units. That's pretty cool. He's got a boatload of attacks, right? He starts with 6, and he can kind of go crazy. But one of the cool relics that I like is there's a relic called the Elixir of the Prime Specimen. And basically, you increase his attacks, toughness, and wounds by 1. So his toughness now goes up to T6, which I think could be pretty important.
It's good. Yeah, that's
Um,
good.
yeah, so I like that. And an extra wound, sure, that's great. He has familiars, which do a bunch of stuff in regarding to his psychic phase. But I think you just take like smites and mortal wound powers with this guy. And I think you use him kind of like you would use something like the Incarn, or another model that appears. It unquestionably makes its charge or its attack, and it unquestionably kills whatever it engages. So you take smites, you take targeted mortal wound powers just to kill 1 or 2 models before you get in and kill something. And you also reserve perfect ambush if you need to pop him up to get that charge. And you also reserve return to the shadows. So basically, when you're done doing your business, he just goes away and he does this whole thing again. Now, I think if you included, and maybe this is me being biased because of my love for the Incarn, but the combination of those things basically turns him into the Incarn. So when you're done, you get out of dodge, and it's really important because no one can touch you. And if you do this on turn 2 and turn 3, and he's still alive, good luck, because at that point, the chances of you having enough firepower and units on the board to make a difference for where he appears is probably zero. So I think this guy is an absolute monster. If you do take him as bladed cog, there's some interesting synergy buffs you can do. You could start him on the board to give your stuff that, remember, everything rerolls against a target when they're within 6 inches of him. We talked about with the Jackal. So he could start on the board near your Ridge Runners, let's just say. Use his Warlord trait to have them all shoot at whatever, Mortarion or something. And then he could go in the shadows and start his rampage. So there's still some play there. I mean, you can buff him up with psychic powers too. Like you could decide to take powers on himself to like Might from Beyond. Basically, add 1 to strength and attacks. So if you do decide to keep him in Bladed Cog, maybe that version of the Patriarch could buff himself via psychic powers, and maybe the other guy, uses a bunch of offensive powers. So I sort of foresee. I don't really know what the rest of the list looks like, but if you could get 2 of these guys, running around, popping in and out of the shadows, I think they're going to do a lot of work while your other stuff is getting targeted.
Yeah, and does this work with his familiars? Because I'm assuming that it's treated as the same unit, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the same unit. It's just like a
the familiars.
Or something.
It's an extra 4 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 4. It's not great, but depending on how expensive it is, it's not bad either. Just to add an additional attack to him.
Yeah, I mean, he's got his core. What do you call it? His core abilities include things like add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by basically friendly stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's
I wonder
got.
If that affects. I wonder
Yeah,
if that
I don't know if
affects
that
the
affects
familiars.
him.
I don't think it does because they have the Genestealer keyword.
Yeah,
but it does affect
true.
him, which means that if he's attacking anything with a -1 to hit, then he doesn't care.
Yeah, sure.
People forget about that. They look at the 2+ and say, "Well, this is lame."
Yeah, I mean, it talks about the familiars in the sense that like they're part of the unit, but when you shoot them, you're basically using the Patriarch stats. So I think they just kind of follow him along.
I think so too. The best way I kind of think of these as AOS players out there, they'll understand this is kind of like just having a second profile attack on your data sheet. So I think you pay. I think you pay for him just cause.
Yeah. I think he's a beast. I think you can build him out a ton of different ways. And don't forget about the.
And then they could just. I don't know if I would take him. Yeah, I'd probably just kill off the familiars first.
I mean, think about it too. Like if maybe. If you do make this guy Twisted Helix, there are whomever, there are psychic powers specific to each of those cults now. So like Twisted Helix, again, you have a +1 to wound power. So he runs up and he targets the thing he wants to hit. No, he's +1 to wound. He's rerolling all wounds. He's +1 to wound. He's I don't know if we mentioned that, but his main weapon, the one that's strength 6, probably strength 7, probably +1 damage, is always rerolling all wounds. So you're fishing for those 6 pluses. You're going to get a couple, and now you're +1 to wound. And it says each time you make a wound roll of a 6+. So if you use that power, he's popping off his 4 damage attacks on a 5. So that's pretty cool if he uses that power on himself. That's old wording there. It's not an unmodified. So there's some interesting stuff there.
Can you reroll your wound roll with this? I know sometimes the wording's a little different.
This one says failed because it is the old wording. So it says failed and it says 6+. It will probably go to reroll all unmodified 6.
Yeah. Because I think I would, in this scenario, I would definitely, even if I hit wounded, I'd probably still roll again.
Yeah. So I don't know. So maybe that's a thing. I don't know. I mean, you can build your own cult creed too, where you can like sort of sneak in some cheeky buffs for this guy. You can pick, rerolling all hits and stuff as a cult. Make your own trait. So I don't know where you slot him in. If you take a patrol and a battalion, and your patrol just loads up this guy, and your battalion has the one that has, you buy a warlord trait, and he's got plus aura, plus whatever 6-inch aura, and he's popping off, the reroll wounds against a target in the beginning. I don't know, but I think he's interesting, and I could see him running around between some trucks. The other thing about the trucks is they block him, right? You can't shoot him with a truck when a truck's nearby. No, you can't.
And I do like this. I don't even know if you need to do a second detachment, or maybe you do. Who knows? But this guy just seems really good to just kind of go and harass stuff by himself.
Yeah, I guess he could get in a truck too.
He could. You
You
could throw
screw
him in the
something
truck.
up, he could just get in the truck, right?
That is true.
That's not bad.
He takes up 5 slots, but yeah, he can.
Yeah.
He can ride. Um,
So what else? I mean, what other? I mean, you got the Abominant, and you've got the
yeah,
the
the Abominant's
assassin
cool.
guy.
Well, so he's an elite. The as far as
Okay, yeah.
HQs, the Alkali Icon Ward guy is pretty cool.
I mean, the Magus is the AOE buff guy, right? He's going to go ahead and add your psychic
Psychic
buffs, and
powers and
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah,
The Primus is another close combat-y kind of guy. You can beef him up pretty good. I mean, at this point, it's kind of user's choice. I'd
yeah,
probably take a Magus for the extra spell casting ability
yeah,
because I definitely
probably.
want to be getting off the 5+ ignore. But do you want to talk about what I think is probably one of the coolest models
The
in here?
Sanctus,
The Sanctus.
the Sanctus. This model is awesome. Let me just say too that the Clamavis, he's like rocking some DJ equipment from the future. He's
Mm-hmm.
got like one hand on like a scratch, doing some stuff, and he's got like a megaphone up, and he's
Yeah,
got
he
his
does.
goggles
He's
on.
uh,
Yeah, go Clamavis.
yeah, he's cool. I also I think the Nexos is pretty neat too.
It's a CP guy, right? He gives you CP back.
He does. I don't really
Yeah,
care about that. I
yeah,
mean, it's good, whatever. It's weird the way you got to do it. You got to be like near your
right,
Primus if
yeah,
you have one. But I think his cooler ability is the strategic coordinator thing. Anything that this army can do with blip manipulation is really good.
yeah,
Downside of this is because now whoever wins the roll has to go first.
yeah. That's
I
a good
think
point.
I think that really hurts this army because I don't think a Genestealer Cult ever wants to go first.
No,
It kind of removes your whole deployment thing.
yeah,
It's pretty lame in my opinion. I would like to see that be changed moving forward. But
ugh, yeah. That's true. Wow.
this is
And
why
imagine
this is why
every
I'd never
army.
take this
Oh my
guy
god.
because like you take him for blip manipulation and you
Yeah,
don't get blip manipulation if you go first. So like you have like I don't want to say a 50-50 chance, but a 50-50 chance of
yeah,
basically
yeah.
this guy not being able to do the thing that he's supposed to
Man,
do.
that sucks.
And that is put blips on the board places, and then when your opponent comes up, you move the blips away so that if they try to push hard on your flank or something, you can relocate where your army's actually deploying.
Yeah.
Um,
I hope that gets changed because so many armies got a version of a redeployment
yeah,
strat, warlord trait, whatever you want to call it, and those are so good. Those are always so incredible. Um,
yeah. I think
I hope
there's
this gets adjusted.
stratagems and stuff that allow you to also move blips around too, but
Yeah,
it's one thing to move your blips pre-game, and a lot of people would argue, oh, it's still really good to kind of redeploy, but it's even better after your opponent's moved.
oh
You
yeah,
can make them really suffer because then you just blip everything away, and they're completely out of
yeah.
position. So that being said,
Fair enough.
that stinks, and I'd like to see it. But tell me about the Sanctus.
Yeah, so the Sanctus is pretty cool. I mean, so this is the guy that comes with a cool like familiar that's I think it's like climbing up his back or something. Anyway, you see it with a sniper rifle, but he also can take a dagger, a bio dagger. Um, so I'll talk about the bio dagger. He's regular profile, strength 3, toughness 3, 4 wounds, but he does hit on twos. So he's got all the good stuff. He's got extra camo cloak, so he's better at hiding in cover. That's fine. Um, he can't have a warlord trait, so he's operating kind of like an assassin. Anyway, but his dagger here. So each time he fights, he can make an additional attack, and it always wounds on the 2+, unless it's a vehicle or whatever. So it's strength 4 -2, 2 damage. But there is a relic, and it is the Dagger of Swift Sacrifice. And basically, all it means is D3 mortals, basically, at the end after you fight. So think about that for a minute. It's the same exact weapon, except it does D3 mortals if they don't die.
Hmm. Yeah, it's pretty
I've
good.
seen relics that just do D3 mortals instead of attacking.
Yep.
So
On
I
like a
think,
2+.
yeah, I think this guy is really good.
Yep.
So he can kill stuff. Strength 4 -2, 2 damage. We've seen the Kellermorph, which is the shooting version of that exact thing, plus some other stuff. But like
Sure.
strength 4 -2, 2 damage isn't great, but it's not terrible. And if you put this guy up against stuff that you know he can kill, that extra D3 mortal wounds is pretty good. It just says that uh, if they lose any wounds as a result of an attack with this weapon, but is not slain, suffers D3 mortal wounds. So, I mean, you run up there, you fight that Gravis captain, okay? might not get a lot of wounds through, but still that D3 at the end is going to make a big deal or a big difference, right? So there's some interesting stuff. He's good. And of course, you pair this guy with Cult Ambush, and I believe he has a rule where
he does. He you can use Perfect Ambush.
Yeah.
For free.
Yeah, there you go. So you pop up, you move D6 inches, you're charging that librarian, that captain, that whatever, right? You're charging that Eldar Farseer. You're doing your business. You're getting in there for sure for 0 CP. You're going to kill it with the mortals, and then you're going to use Return to the Shadows. So, yeah,
All
this
right,
guy's awesome.
So
And
I'm
he's
looking at
probably
this.
like nearly free. He's probably so cheap that it doesn't really matter his points. A lot of these
So it
little
replaces
characters.
his cultist knife, but it also
Yep.
gives a +1 attack anyway. So how
Sure.
many
Yep.
attacks does this guy have?
He's starting with 4, so he's
So
going
he's
to get
got
5.
5.
Yep.
And he hits on 2s?
2s. Always wounds on 2s.
Always wounds on 2s.
Yep.
-2 for 2 damage. I mean,
Yep.
I'll be honest. The regular bio dagger, does that also wound on 2s?
Yep.
Always?
It's the same, except you don't
Same
do
thing?
the D3. Yep. Exactly the same.
Okay. Man, yeah.
I
I
mean,
think
look.
this is good. This guy's
Yeah.
good. This guy's going to make your opponent scared. And
Yeah.
again, like I was saying earlier, you want to use this to your advantage. This
For
is
sure.
when you're playing against someone, you want to explain exactly what this guy does and let them know that he's hiding and let them know that he can pop up and kill one of their characters. And you want to be real sure that they understand that.
That's exactly
Because
how you explain it, and you get really low and close to them when you
yeah,
say it.
yeah. Just
This
let them
guy's going to
know.
hunt you.
Let them know that this guy, if someone leaves their smash captain or something, just there, he's gonna die.
Yeah.
And you're gonna kill him.
And you're
But
going
this
to
guy,
use Return to the Shadows, and you're going to freaking do it again. You're going to do it again because his cult assassin ability says it can never have a warlord trait, but a perfect ambush stratagem has a command point cost of 0. It's not once per game. If this is the dude doing that, he's doing it every turn. And
yeah.
then you're talking about 1 CP for Return to the Shadows. That's free because you get one every turn. So
Now
this guy's good.
he is good, but again, you might not even get to use him because your opponent's gonna know how good he is. But he's gonna have to move and deploy and work his army with that in mind, causing them to not be able to reach out or do what they want to do. Again, all of these things, you're playing a mind games army against your opponent, and you need to use that. It's not a die roll. It's not a deployment strategy. It's literally a mind game that you're doing with this army, and you have to. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
This army will make your opponent pay. There's a lot of little things. There's a lot of rules. There's tons of stuff that you can do, but you need your opponent to make the wrong moves to make
Yeah.
them pay for it.
Yeah, for sure.
And if they don't make the wrong moves, then hopefully they're playing so cautious and defensive that you can rack up your secondaries, your primaries.
Yeah, I could see this army scoring very well. So,
Well, I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's an uphill battle.
yeah,
With the way the codexes have been coming out recently, I am really excited. This is probably easily one of my most anticipated codexes just because I can't wait to see what they do with this faction because it's so unique compared to every other faction in the game. And I don't know if you know this, but it's an old faction. They actually used to have a rogue trader codex.
oh man, really?
Yeah,
I didn't
so
actually know that.
they used to have a rogue trader codex, and they had the Primaris. They actually had a model for. He's like this little fat guy, but they didn't have any real vehicles. But they had. This is before they like made models for
I was
everything
gonna
that they
say
would make in the.
this line is brand new.
Right. Well, it used to exist, right? You'd use your Genestealers, and you'd have your stuff. You could bring the tanks like Lemon Russes and stuff, but you could put your patriarch in a limousine. I kid you
I'm
not.
done.
You could purchase
I'm
a
done.
limousine. It was a transport vehicle that your Primus could pimp ride on the battlefield in.
All right, you're gonna have to
Legit a
explain
thing.
something to me. So, okay, so what is the deal with these guys' lore? Because look, I've read some books, and they live in the caves, and then they come up through the sewers and murder the planet.
Well, okay,
What is the
so
deal with taking over the Astra Militarum and riding
no,
the
so
limousines? What the hell is this?
okay, so Genestealers are like the front wave of a Tyranid invasion, right? So the
Yeah, I mean they've
Genestealers are
been there
kind of
for a while, right?
right. The Genestealers are kind of sent out before the Tyranid hive fleets come, and the Genestealers kind of go out there and they find like biomass that they can consume, right?
Sure.
And what the Genestealers do, they're called Genestealers because what they do is they kind of, I don't want to say impregnate, but they like alter people
Okay.
and like infect them. That's why like your Metamorphs and your Neophytes, they're all like kind of Genestealery, because what the Genestealers do is they basically start converting the population into this Genestealer cult, and they like
the mole
mind control. Well, no, like they're like the reason that the Genestealer cult in this iteration are like they're basically like miners and your blue collar workers of the Imperium who are out in the distant reach of planet working on some desert Mars planet with dust in their face all day, and they don't really have any, like, their space marines and stuff aren't there. The reason that they have the Brood Brothers Imperial Guard is because there might be an Imperial Guard outpost on that planet, and the concept is like the Genestealers show up unbeknownst to anybody. They start like infecting with their telepathy and stuff, and then they start creating their cult of normal people, and then what happens is that cult of people slowly infects the population. As it infects the population, it also infects the guard that are stationed on the planet protecting it, and then eventually they take over the planet, and then the Tyranids show up and devour everything.
Oh man, somewhere along the line they got the guy with the limo,
and then they ride in the limo. Yes. I remember it was probably close to 3rd edition. I was playing the old crappy Dark Eldar models with their weird looking raiders, shooting dark lances at a limousine model my brother bought from like the hobby store. You know what I mean? Like
like it was just a limousine
just
model.
A limousine model that he bought.
This is not the right scale. This is not the right look.
Just pimp traveling across the board. Yeah, that's one of my earlier memories of playing this game.
God bless. I don't even know. I often wonder how people played this thing 20 years ago. But then I actually look and I'm like, now I know exactly why they played this thing 20 years ago.
I mean, yeah, it was a thing.
And that's probably about where we'll end. I think that's probably the best place to end. I don't want to go anywhere after that.
Can you top it? I don't know if you can.
I can't top it. I mean, there's strats in here, but there's nothing in here about a limo. So, and all that makes sense because people were raging. Like the internet was ablaze when this awesome model line came out, and I had no idea what the hell these people were. And I was like, "This is what a great model line!" And everyone was like, "No, this model line is terrible because there's no limousine." I'm like, "What are you thinking? Like this model line is sick." And everyone was willing to completely disregard how amazing it was because there was no limousine. Now I know why. It all makes sense.
All makes sense now.
Holy shit. All right. Well, on that note, I think we're going to wrap it for the night. This has been 40K Shop Talk. I'm Austin here with my co-host Rob. So y'all have a good night and go figure out how to move your blips with Genestealers.
Yeah.
See y'all.